Hey friend, it's been 365 days since I hit send on that email. The subject read, "Wow, thank you." Looking back now, that wow wasn't for the people I sent the email to. It was for God, because wow is the only expression that comes to mind when I list all He has done for me. It had been 7 lots of 365 days when I eventually left my job. And for some who know my story, I should have left much sooner, but that wasn't God's plan for me. God needed me to finish well, so I could be fully immersed in the experience and celebration resulting from resting in Jesus. For 6 years, He refined me, creating in me a new heart and preparing me for freedom, a bit like the first 6 days of the creation story. In the email, I thanked everyone for participating in my journey and for my gifts that God handpicked for me because I had prayed that just like Israel leaving Egypt, I would exit the organization with many gifts. God listens. A week before pressing send on the email, I had just celebrated 7 years at the organization. God was intentional about the date and the time. He ensured that my 7 years were complete, just like He instructed Israel on how to maintain the promised land. He told them to work the land for 6 years and let it rest in the 7th, just as He did in the beginning. So now, my year of rest is ending. What has it been like? In a nutshell, it's been 365 days of trusting God blindly. It's been hard to hold on at times, moving and not knowing where the path leads, but He leads me by the peaceful streams, and even when I pass through the darkest and smelliest valleys, He carries me through. God has been faithful these past 365 days, and it will be a shame if I miss the opportunity to acknowledge His wonderful and caring presence. Rest is good and necessary, but I assumed resting would be easy. It's not all. I've wrestled with rest. I've battled the lie that my rest was unproductive and that I'm lazy. I struggled with not knowing how not to do anything because sitting still requires discipline. For fear of appearing unserious, I prematurely took on opportunities to which I should have said no. I'm now aware of how expensive my yes and no are. The quietness took some time to get used to too, because in the silence I could hear my heartbeat as if on loudspeaker. My heart beat loud and fast when the enemy attempted to imply that I had made a mistake in leaving and remaining to live thousands of miles away from my family. My heart pounded at the end of each month when a bill payment dwindled my savings. My heart beat the most when I had to ask for help, slightly afraid that 3 months had turned into 6, 9, and 12. But can I be honest? These have been the best 12 months of my life in a long time. I have peace about where God has me, even when my reality insists I should be filled with conflict. I've spent a lot of time at the feet of my Father, allowing His Spirit to teach me. For example, I see Jesus more clearly in the Old Testament now, an answered prayer for sure. I have nothing the world says we should have to make us happy, yet I'm genuinely happy and joyful because Christ has filled me with Himself. A misconception is that rest means doing nothing, but I've realized that rest in God's eyes is actively dwelling in Him. Where He is where I want to be. As I've rested, God has overwhelmed me with ideas, stories, plans, and desires to the point that I've even asked Him to pause. It's almost as if He's given me a glimpse of things to come, things much too large and grand to do by myself. But that's what resting in God is. It's a heart-opening and mind-expanding adventure that has left me exposed, rebuked, forgiven, determined, and cuddled when I've shed tears to utter my wordless prayers. In year 7, God has allowed this land, me, Olayide, to be cared for in ways I can't explain. I can't tell you how, nor do I remember when or where. I'm not sure why. But I know that when I titled my leaving email, "Wow, thank you," that wow was for Jesus. He wowed me in the past and he does so now, and I can't wait to see his wowness on full display in my life in the days to come. Resting in Jesus is the best, and don't let no devil tell you otherwise. The truth is that God's plans for you and I include days, months, years, and lifetimes of rest in his presence, where real life is. I pray that you, my friend, will experience this robust rest in full till it overflows to your friends, families, and communities. My life will never be the same because, like my Creator, I rested on the seventh day, taking him in and concluding that he has been good. He is good and will forever be good. Signed, a well-rested child of God, Olayide M.